Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Tessman from StampYourArtOut.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Andover, Minnesota in the US, and today I'm bringing you a part 2 video. This goes along with the video that I did where I shared the new stamp and die organizers and how I'm kind of working with them and adapting my craft room with them. So Stampin' Up! Has a new stamp and die organization system. This is the new holder for it. It's 5 5/8 by 9 inches, and it's nice and thin, and it holds the photopolymer stamps. You can also put your stamps and dies within one package, as you might have seen in my first video. So it can hold a little bit thicker product. You could put the cling stamps in here if you're transitioning over from the old packaging to the new packaging. So if you have a cling stamp set, you can definitely transition into that. This is the old packaging, and this is the new packaging. I talk about this packaging in that first video, so you'll want to make sure that you watch that. I've got a link to that video in the description below. So Stampin' Up! Made an announcement in late August of 2025 that their organization for their packaging for their stamp set and their dies, this is the older packaging, would change to this more slimline packaging for both. They're both going to be the same size, all that sort of thing. They talked about the labeling and how it would work out. So you can watch that first video to learn more about that, and you can hear the reasons behind it all. So now that we're in this new packaging, on late October of 2025, I did a video, and that's the one that's linked below, where I share how I'm going to be kind of organizing my pieces in here. So when you get a stamp set, I'm going to take that stamp set and I'm going to peel off the thinner of the two plastic layers here. And after doing that, I'm going to ink it up and I'm going to stamp it onto a piece of cardstock and then use that as a guide. So I'm storing my stamps with a guide because these don't necessarily come with that. These images here aren't always 100% for lining up. Plus you have the limitations of the plastic that it comes on. You can't really line them up on here and then lift them up. And we like to line up our stamps when we store them. So I will be doing all of my stamp sets that way, and you'll see the process of that in that October video. And then when I put them in my sleeve here, I'll have them with that paper, that guide paper, and then I'll be putting the lip of my container inside like this, so it's easy to just, oops, I have to grab it first. So it's easy to just pull them in and out. So that is how I'll be storing my stamps. And again, watch that first video to get more details on that. For the dies, I love storing my dies on magnets, so when I get my dies that come like this, I'll be transferring them onto magnetic sheets. And this magnetic sheet here, I got from Stampin' Storage. And they do have different size magnets, so I was playing around with them. And this is the one that is made for the new stamp and die, or the die storage, right? But they also have another size, and you'll be seeing that in just a minute. And I'm going to tell you what I did to make that one my favorite. So I'm going to put that sleeve back in there, and now I'm going to put the lip of the container inside so it's holding both those papers there. And this is how I'm storing my dies. So again, tune into that first video so that you can get more details about that. Today, I am going to show you how I'm converting my older stamps into this new packaging, and then I'm going to be showing you my craft space and how I'm storing them. So I've gone even further in a quicker amount of time than I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to be doing this a lot further down the line, but I'm finding that we have several last chance products, and so those I'm not transitioning. But then when I looked at what I have left that's current, I thought, I can do this now. So I'm transitioning everything now, and I want to share that with you. So we'll start with our Inspiring Imperfections stamp set. I'm going to open this up, bend this forward a little bit in this direction so that I can remove the sleeve. This is protected underneath this plastic sheath here. And this will be a great container for temporarily storing mix and match ephemera, or ephemera from designer series paper packs, or other tidbits. Sometimes you could put your extra ribbon scraps in here or whatever. These are great storage containers. And I say temporarily because when I come back to reselling this stamp set, I want to be able to insert it back into that container. And I can easily do that because I'm not ruining this sleeve here. All I'm going to do is fold crisp along these two edges, and then I'm going to bring those two edges together to kind of hide that inside here and make this remain the same width. And that width is just a little over 5 inches. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some copy paper, typing paper, whatever you want to call this, and my trimmer, and I'm going to trim off a 1/2 inch. I've got a couple sheets here together. Luckily, this paper is nice and thin, so you can do a few sheets at a time. Makes the process go faster. And then we'll take and fold this in half. So we have a 5 1/4 inch wide section here, which will hold this. Okay, I'm going to grab one of them, and let's go ahead and grab the new packaging. So I have the new packaging comes in, like if you want to buy some of this just, empty packaging, it's great for doing what I'm going to do today. So you can do that. And you're going to pull out one of the 10. And you'll just have to fold at the crease and your packaging is ready to go. Your little organizers are ready to go. For this, I'm going to use some temporary adhesive. This is my Herma transfer adhesive. I'm just putting a little line of dots there on the back top. And I'm going to add that to my paper so that I have an opening and a closing, kind of a little protective little insert here. This is similar to the stamp sets and how they come now. Let me just open this up again. This paper is long in this direction, but it's the same idea where you have kind of an enclosing to help protect what you've got inside there. So we're going to take our stamp set and we'll put that inside. I've already pre-stamped my imagery, and we can add this into the sleeve. So the way that I'm going to do that, got it all in here. We're going to make that insert into here like this so that my imagery is on the front of the packaging. My flap is the front. I'm going to open this up like that, tuck this flap inside. So this is similar to the way I'm storing these stamps. Right? So I've got this in here. I'm opening this up and putting my tab or my insert of my packaging inside there. Same idea. And let's see, this one goes in here. Oh, this one goes in here. Okay. So next, I have to make some matching imagery. So I will take this off, ink it up with the gray ink like I shared in the first video. And once I've stamped that, this is the one that matches, sorry about that. So I've got my matching sheet, my little guide, and that will just insert into this spot here and stay nice and protected. For the dies, I've got another little case here and some folded paper. And for that, I'm going to take my old dies and I'm going to remove them from the magnetic sheet that I used to store them in. These magnetic sheets you can still get from Stampin' Storage. They're 6 inches by 7 inches. And I'm going to transfer that onto one of the new magnet sheets. Now the new magnet sheets are wonderful sizes. You just saw them, but you can also get this size and it comes with holes, just so you know. It's an 8.5 by 11 type of magnet sheet, right? I think that's right. Let me just check again to make sure. Double checked, and yes, these were 8.5 by 11, so 11 inches in this direction, 8.5 by this in this direction, with 3 holes in them. So what I did is I cut them down to 5 1/8 by 8.5 to get 2 magnet sheets. Now, granted, you have the hole in there, but if that doesn't bother you, then you could purchase this and save a little bit of money. These come in a 5-pack for right now $35.95 in the U.S. And then the 5 by 8.5 magnets are 5 of them for $20.95. So I decided to see if I could use this and get in on some savings, and I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer my dies onto here. The nice thing about their newer magnet sheets, even the 6 by 7 size and all of that, is that you have a back side that is shiny. This is the older one. It has like a cardboard backing, but the newer ones have this shiny backing on them. So if you have a coordinating stamp set that's photopolymer, you can store your dies on one side and stick your stamps onto the other side and store them all in one sleeve. Okay, so after I've done that, I can take this sheet here and do the same thing I did with my stamp set. And it doesn't matter if this opens in this direction or in this direction. And so I'm going to add that to the top here. with temporary adhesive, save my packaging from my old die set so that I can, you know, put it back to the way it was when I want to sell it. But I'm going to insert this into my new organizer. And I should call these magnet cards. Sorry, they're not magnet sheets, magnet cards. For magnets, remember I'm putting both of the papers behind this closure at the top here. And then I'm inserting the magnet like this. That way I can see my magnets. And I tend to like to look at my magnets rather than the labeling. Even with the new packaging, I prefer seeing my dies. So I like that they're out like this so that I can see them. Make sure though that you're not, just like I said in the first video, don't put any small dies up here. You don't want to lose them. Make sure that they stay within. So I have my stamp set. Oops, this is the wrong one. My stamp set and my dies. They're both the Inspiring Imperfection, right? And this is how I'm going to store them. This coming or facing me and this facing me. All right, next. We're moving on to another bundle, and this is called Lifetime of Love. I've already got my dies in here on one of the newer magnet sheets, the one with the hole. But I wanted to point out that you can take and cut these down. So if you have older magnet sheets, I just took my Carl cutter and I put my, I believe it was this side down, and then I sliced at 5 1/8 inch. Yes. And that way it was the same width. And now it's not as high, but it's also not going to have that that problem of having your your magnet outside here, right? So you can, you don't have to worry about where your dies are organized on here. It's going to slip down inside your sleeve just the same way. It's just a little bit deeper. So you could cut down your older magnet cards. Now let's take that coordinating stamp set. And this is one that is a cling stamp set. So I've already transferred all of my labels onto my stamps. And what I recommend for this is getting a sheet of window. So window sheets at 5 inches by 7 is what I cut this down to, so that it can continue to fit inside this container when I want to transfer things back into this box to resell it. So I've got my window sheet here, and I'm just going to add these things right on here. And for these kinds of stamps, I never got in the habit of making any sort of guide for them, so I don't worry about that. So you can, if you'd like to, you can stamp on another sheet of paper so that you can line things up. But these stamp sets tended to have a lot more room for placing your stamps back into the container. So I'm just going to go like that. I'm not going to worry about that extra piece of plastic on the top. So I'll remove my insert here from my older packaging, save this for when I want to resell it and use it temporarily for other items. But on these cling stamps, they don't have that extra sheet. So all you have to do is just fold this part back, and we'll do the same thing where we put the temporary adhesive on here. This just rubs off later on, by the way. We've got our folded piece of paper from our computer printer, and we have our new organizer container. So we'll slip that in like that. And we'll also separate the two pieces of paper from my computer paper open. We'll slip this down inside. This is always hard to do on camera, but for some reason it goes real slick when I'm not on camera. There we go. Okay, so we have that, just like our other stamps. And because this is sliding against paper, you don't have to worry about having that extra piece of plastic over the top. Hang on a minute, I just gotta open that up. See, it'll slide nice and easily no matter what, okay? So I think I mentioned in my first video that I was gonna put another piece of window sheet or plastic there, and you don't really need that if you're going to add them to your containers like this. If you're going to add them to your containers like this, they might kind of catch on that plasticky outer part here, the actual organizer, but this is not a worry to me in this way. So now that stamp set and die set are ready to store. And I may have mentioned this in the first video, but there are the images on the inside of our photopolymer stamp sets from the older packaging. But because of the way that I'm storing them, I did decide to stamp out extra imagery sheets for all of all of my photopolymer stamps. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and package that. And for the coordinating dies, these were in a larger packaging than my ones that I just shared with you. So this wider packaging won't fit the same way. We can't just tape it onto a folded piece of printer paper. So instead, I'm going to fold this at around the 5-inch mark so you can lay it on top of another one, just kind of eyeball it, doesn't matter, as long as you have the name of your stamp set showing. So you can fold it like that and then fold this other flap back. And those two folds for putting back into the original container is not going to affect that type of thing. I mean, it just has some extra folds in there, but that's the only issue. So now I'm going to grab my bone folder, give that a good crease. We're going to add the temporary adhesive, and I'm putting it across both little layers right there. And again, you can peel this off. When you want to remove it, you can just peel it off later on with an adhesive eraser or with just rubbing your finger. We'll add that. And it's just going to be a little sideways. You're going to have to read sideways. But we have the same type of system now. It's all ready to go into our sleeve. I'm going to put the flap in. And for our magnet transfer, here we go. Let's see if we can make it fit. So this is the fun part. I'm going to put some bigger dies up on top. I always start with my bigger dies and then I fill in. We might be able to fit them all on here. And if you start with your bigger dies on top, you don't have that worry of the smaller dies kind of coming outside, right? So that is ready to go. That transferred really well. There are some die sets where you might have to use multiple sheets of magnets though, such as the Alphabet a la Mode die set, but these probably came on a couple of sheets. When you first purchased them, I did store them on 2 magnets this size before, so I have them on 2 of the taller, skinnier magnets, and they do indeed fit within the packaging. They're a little more snug, but it's going to work with 2 magnets. And now I'm going to take a moment to transfer more of my stamps into the 9 remaining containers I have here. I already have my folded paper from the printer. I have my inserts from my older cases already folded. My cling stamp set's already onto the plastic. So I'm just going to do a quick transfer and we'll be back. For this stamp set, I have not put my labels on all my stamps, but the nice thing about this is it clings without the labels, so you can definitely stick those onto your window sheet and then just add this as an insert and you can deal with it later. I do that with all my cling stamp sets. I just put the label on when I need them. Okay, I have a new view behind me, so I want you to take a peek here. This is the stamp set shelves that I have been using for the past several years. You can see I have my soon-to-be retired, my on the last chance list stamp sets up here along with dies. There's even some embossing folders in here and some mask sets. So you can see the sizing that I have on the shelves. Now thankfully I am one of those people that owns shelves that can be repositioned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my old stamp set cases out of here and I'm going to change where my shelves sit. Because I have not as many stamp sets as some of you, I'm okay with having just one shelf for all of my new stamp sets and dies because remember they're thin. The packaging is thin, so you'll be able to store more in one place. Okay, so here's new stamp sets and dies in their packaging, ready to go. What am I going to use for this? In the first video, I did share with you the Creative Crate, the new Creative Crate that Stampin' Storage came out with. It's nice and big. I want to tell you the sizing of this. The sizing is 14¼ inches for the depth at the top here, by 6¾ inches for the height, and then from side to side it's 7¼ inches. This is the type of crate that I would store in a deeper shelf like this, and this is where I used to store my other creative crates that held my dies, embossing folders, masks, that sort of thing. So if I wanted to, I could make use of this area for my stamps and my dies. I also have another option. So on Amazon, I took Patty Bennett's advice and got this container. This is the Sorbus container. I have a link to it also in the video description. The size of this is 6 inches tall, 7½ inches wide. They have handles, which is great for grabbing. And then it's 8½ inches deep. So 4 of these will fit nicely on my shelf here. On the 2 edges, because this is kind of a rounded shelf base here, it does stick out a little bit, but there's enough surface area in the back, towards the back, where they're not going to cause too much disruption and tip forward. So this is a great solution for me, and if I put 4 of them here, I can organize literally all the dies and stamps that I have. Because again, I don't keep as many as some of you do. Another great container is the slanted box, and this is from the Country Hive, and they are plastic boxes, so they're lightweight, kind of like the Sorbus. I do have one of them that I've been using for a long time. This is the regular. The wide is the one that you want to get if you want to hold the new stamp and die organizers. Okay, so this is the wide. It does have a slanted feature that you can put on the front or towards the back. And this container would fit here as well, very nicely. In fact, it's pretty much like there's only a tiny corner that would be off of my shelf if I use these. I could also, because they're a little bit skinnier, the measurements for the slanted box from the Country Hive is, let's see here, I want to tell you the right direction, right measurements. They're 4½ inches high, which is still halfway for those containers. So you've got half of your container in, half out. So it's a good depth. And then it's 6.4 inches across, so skinnier, and 8 inches deep. So this is the most shallow of the 3. It's also the skinnier in this direction, and it's also the shorter, but it's gonna hold a lot still. And I can get 4 of these easily across, and I'll still have room for this crate on the end. So I could actually get 4 which size? Hang on, 4 large and 1 regular over here. So that's a nice option. So here we have the one from the Country Hive. So you can see how nicely that fits. Very nice edge to edge, right? Okay, and then this is the Sorbus one. Sorry, that was the slanted crate from the Country Hive. This is the Sorbus one. So there's a little bit more leeway side to side. But let's just, because I have 4 of these, and I don't have 4 of the slanted boxes yet. Let's just put these on my shelf. And you can see I have a nice height so that I can grab my stamps and dies that are in the back of the containers. I can still sort through them and grab what I need because this is a nice height, okay? So you'll want to adjust your shelves if you can, if you're going to do something like this. Otherwise, you can store them on higher shelves with a little bit more depth. And when you're shifting things around in your craft room, that means that you have to shift other things as well. So I'm now going to have a place for my envelopes in this area right there. Yay. Okay, I'm gonna bring one of these crates over. I think I'll grab this one and we'll go back down to the desktop. and I want you to take a peek here. I have some labeling that I have done. And I was going to, as I shared in that first video, I was going to use my chipboard or cardboard inserts that come in the kits collection and paper pumpkin kits. This would have been great. The only thing is I like seeing my stamps. And so if I'm going to put an insert in there, it covers it up. and that kind of made me sad. So, I mean, it's also the same height. So if you have a label sheet or an insert behind it, you're going to have to pull the stamp set forward in order to read it. So I decided to try our window sheets again. Our window sheets are awesome, you guys. So now I have a slightly higher, you can see the label is up higher, cut it to the same size as the chipboard width-wise, but height-wise I went to 9.5 inches. So this is 6 inches going across, and this is 9.5 inches from top to bottom. I used my labeler that I have linked on my favorite extras, and I've already done a couple labels on here for you, but you just hook it up to your phone. You use the app on your phone to write out what you want it to say. This is very simple. All I did was words on these, but you can do designs. You can get different labels. It's a great labeler. After you've printed off your labels, you can then take those and add those to your little window sheet inserts. So let's go ahead and do that. So your next question might be, what am I using for my organizational labeling? You could do alphabetical if that works for you. Whatever system you have in place now, just do it with your newer organizers. So I did it by category. I have my Christmas and winter ones, and I use a lot of Christmas and winter. And then after that, I have my other holiday. So I have my Celebrate the Miracle, Be My Valentine, Beautiful Pumpkins in that category. I have one that's really big. It's mostly words, but it also includes letters and numbers. And so I have Celebrate Together, the right words, Happy Place. And then I have like a die set that is the mini alphabet dies, alphabet a la mode. And I store my dies, like I told you at the beginning of the video, with the dies facing me rather than the labeling facing me, just because that's what I'm used to. Simply said, reason to celebrate. By the time this video is like a year or two older, all of these are going to be probably retired. I'm just kidding. But, you know, for now, these are my current stamp sets. That's all that I have in this container because it's so big, because I have that. That's a big category. I have one that just says unique, and that is like inspiring perfection. So all those vases. I have another one, the trusty tools with the tools and the dad images or sentiments. And then I have one that's on display, and so it's the one with the shelves and all the things that you put on a bookshelf or a shelf in your room. Terrific toadstools, notes and totes. I have a category called variety and all occasion, which is where I would put things that have more than just one certain occasion, right? So like encircled with love, it has a thank you, it has little something, and you'd think that this would maybe go in the words, but for me, this is a visual one too, because it's got kind of like picturesque images around it. And so I'm putting it in my all occasion. Along these lines, just a variety of images. We have a bicycle, a dolphin, a birthday cake. So that's kind of like all occasion, right? Then I have a category called florals and leaves, which I have a ton of. Lots of flower stamp sets, lots of leaf stamp sets, dies, etc. I have one called Animals, and that's where I would put my dinosaur stamp set, Dialing Dinos, Feathered Fun. One that's shapes and labels, and this is definitely geared towards like my shape dies, right? Tend to get a lot of dies with shapes, so I'll put those here, stylish shapes, those rectangles, the arches. And then I have one called, my stamp set called Peaceful Piers. So because that does have animals, but it also has like leaves and outdoorsy stuff, I'm calling this an outdoor scenes. There's a lot of stamp sets where there's like outdoor scenes, and so that will be put in its own unique category. And as my stamp sets change and my die sets change, I can change out my inserts. Embossing folders, masks, what else? Yeah, those kinds of things. You could also add in with these if you'd like to. So this is my Join Together 3D embossing folder, which totally goes with, and I gotta find it now. Oh, here it is. Inspiring Imperfections stamp set and dies. So I'm just gonna store those 3 together because they go so well together. Now I do have some older dies, embossing folders, etc. that won't fit in the new sizing just because the dies are super wide or whatever the situation is. Also have like the wider embossing folders, right? I think these might work though. Let me check really quick. Oh yeah, they're just fine in this one. As far as the skinniest storage container that I have, which is from the Country Hive, oh, it works in there too. So the wider embossing folders, the taller ones, the regular, the skinny ones, I can categorize with my stamps and dies now if I want to. I've normally kept them separately, but I might have a category just for extra embossing folders. And then of course I got to get more packaging for all of these. This one here might take a couple packages because it already takes 3 sheets of magnets. So I have a bit more organizing to do, but I am almost done. And I'm still debating between this one and the sorbus that I got from Amazon. The Country Hives, they're slimmer and a little shallower. And for me, I think that would work better on these shelves. It's up to you though what's going to work in your space. You have to assess what you already have and what you can adjust to. So these come from the Country Hive again. They come in black and white. These come in clear. They're from Amazon. All the links are below. And then the Creative Crates from Stampin' Storage come in white or natural, so like an unfinished one, so you can paint it to whatever color you want. And depending on the surface of your shelving, you may want to get those tiny little rubber feet to put on the bottom of these containers so that they don't slide around on your shelves when you have them full and when you're moving through them. So that's my extra recommendation for these lovely containers. One more thing that I want to share is that these containers, these new organizers, give you a lot more space to put other things in your craft room. They are skinny, right? I have 18 containers or storage organizers in this sorbus container. So it's kind of like half full with 18 of them. If I was going to move over to Ashley and James's The Country Hive, let's just look at that. Remember, these are a little bit shorter. So let's see how that works. 18 of them in here. Still plenty of space, right? That looks pretty good. So you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck as far as opening up even more crafting space in your room. You're just gonna, it's gonna be a good thing. We just have to adjust. We have to get through the adjustment period. I hope this video helped you. I hope that it gave you some ideas of how you can alter your crafting space to make room for the new stamp and die organizers from Stampin' Up. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I hope that you had fun. And now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.